G'day guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. The previous video I was doing a review of my troop carrier, which was it's basically at the other end of the four-wheel driving spectrum compared to this car here. This is a Suzuki SJ70 1995, and it's the soft top version. So I've switched gone from a very heavy four-wheel drive to pretty much like a go-kart. This thing has been a lot of fun. It's as you can see, I've got the windscreen down. I've taken the soft top off, and there's also these bars that run across the top and bolt down into here. So it's you've got more of a structure there when it's when the windshield's up. So it's currently in a YOLO mode. Now I usually, driving like this, as soon as you're going over about 60 k's, it becomes it becomes very noisy. You can do it with, you can drive with sunnies on, but you still get a lot of wind under your eyes. So I actually wear a motorbike helmet with goggles, and it looks the part. That's the way to go, because then you block out the wind, you block out the the noise, and it's much safer that way. I mean, you got no airbags and the windshield's down. Something happens, that helmet is the only thing that's really protecting you. I mean, you do still have this big bar up here that's sitting above you, which would offer some support. So I've had it for about a month. It's been quite fun. It's very different to like the troop car. Like I said, this is like it's like a go-kart. It's very zippy. It's had a engine replacement, so I've been told it's got about 90,000 on it, and it's a GTi, a Swift, I think, from a Suzuki Swift. That's where they pulled it from and put it into this. So they did an engine transplant, but it has a lot of go. So that's so it's good fun. They've put some big tires on it. I mean, they're good tires. They've barely got any wear on them. They've added I think you have to put this on when your tire is, and you have larger tires, because that's to stop bits, stones and stuff flicking up. So I think that's why you have to add that flare, I think you call that, onto the side. So the flares look all right. It's got a bull bar at the front. There's points there where you could put a light bar on, and aerial bit, and there's to lock your hubs. So with the windshield down, you can actually put it back up, and you don't have to put in the structure, the other two supporting bars. I think that's so if you're temporarily going to drive with the windshield up for a bit and put it down, put it up again, put it down a bit, that's the case where you would do that. Whereas if you're going to drive it with the windshield up, often, then you'd put the support back in, because this actually locks down into here, and that holds it quite well. And then it's also going to be resting up against the door frames. So it comes with a soft top. I've driven it with the soft top like once or twice. See, I didn't buy it for that purpose. I bought it to have fun, and so that's why it's like it is. You can see here, I don't do a lot of off-roading with it. I went to Super Cheap the other day. Super Cheap, for those who don't know, it's an automotive store, and there were some guys in there that were big enthusiasts of Suzukis, and they were telling me about all the potential. They wanted to telling me to put a big lift kit on it, and all these other little bits and pieces. But I'm not that hardcore into off-roading, so it's got quite a bit of potential there. Now, in terms of wear and tear, well, it's 25-year-old vehicle, 95, but everything's functioning except for the stereo. And I had a look into this, and underneath where you've got your fuses, there's no fuses in there for the stereo. I went and bought a fuse, but it's actually missing the connection, the bit that the fuse clicks into like the terminal points. So, and I was told that it had been unplugged here too or something. So I knew that when I purchased it, but I mean, I haven't used the stereo, but it's been fitted out with a pretty nice, by the looks of it, JVC. There's some there. We can open the back. There's some there. Oh, there's a speaker there, and it's had a wood panel put on it. So the history, I should mention the history. It's a bit tricky because there's not a lot of the history has been recorded, but I imagine this has had a number of owners. But the person I bought it from was in Cairns, and he just bought it to use with his family, but his wife didn't approve, I think for safety reasons. And it had, 2 seats in the back. I'll show a picture of that too, by the way. And he bought it from a guy who had installed the Suzuki GTi engine into it after his Suzuki Swift had been rear-ended. He put the engine into this, and so he bought it off that person at around 180,000. That the engine's only got around 90,000, he's told me, and I didn't put much on it at all because I just use it as my A to B vehicle. I just need something to get around in, and I was like, oh, well, this is fun. Where I live, I live up in the Tablelands, which is an area near Cairns in far north Queensland. It's pretty ideal for this area, but it's coming into wet season, so I'm not sure what to do there because once you put the soft top up, it's not as fun, and anyway, that's another issue for later. But the soft top is in good condition. It works. I mean, it stops the water and everything. It's fine. I've got a picture of that there. It's rolled up in there. You can see the crossbars. I don't know what you call them. The bars, that support that you put into the roof bit here. They're wrapped up in there as well. So anyway, what I was getting at, that was a bit of history of the vehicle. So I bought it from this guy in Cairns about a month ago. I drove it up, and within a week the battery was going flat, and I didn't know what was causing that problem. Of course, we checked the alternator first thing, and it turned out the alternator wasn't working. Now, I don't know if it was like that when I purchased it because I didn't check that. The more you know, I guess, but I will be aware of that for next time. But it's now got a brand new alternator in it. The battery's really good. It's one of those big solid batteries, and I mean, haven't had to replace that, so it's a fairly new battery, but it's in there. We'll pop the bonnet soon. So it's had a new alternator put in it. And the modifications I've done, I think this is awesome. These toolboxes, these are from a place called Cairns Tableland Hardware, but I needed to lock stuff in because, these cars, anyone can get into them really. So even with the soft top on, someone could easily, rip through it with a knife or something. So I installed these, and these are bolted into there's bolts that would hold the passenger seats, the rear passenger seats, and so they're bolted. There's 2 in here, two bolts holding the back one in, 4 holding the front one in. So they're very secure. They're not going to go anywhere. They are hinged, so they've got these little, you'll see, I'll pop it up in a second. So that's the modifications I've done. I've just added those. But that's been a big improvement. They're about $500 for those 2. They're totally worth it. They're well made. Cairns Hardware. Now, I checked a lot of places looking for toolboxes, and that was the best place I could find ones that were good quality and they've got a hinge so that when you pop it open, it just springs up, and it's lockable with a key, not a padlock. So they fit snugly in there, and you can have them both open at the same time. There's a little jack down there. The seats are really good. They're nice seats. They work well. Even with a bike helmet on, a motorbike helmet, they fit fine. They can slide back, and you can tilt them forward. I don't think the aircon works. That's the only other thing, the aircon. I mean, look, when you drive it like this, I mean, it's November right now, so it's a very hot time of the year. That's another reason why I'm driving it like this. And look, the sun's out. It's beautiful. So no, I haven't needed the aircon, but no, it doesn't work. And the fan there, it works. So then down there, I think what that thing was what the person installed for the sound system. You got your little compartment in here for bits and pieces. That what they call that, the shit bar or something, the holy crap bar, something like that. You grab onto, you know, when you're going balls to the wall. These are still holding up. I think they'd be the original ones, but might need to reinforce that with some of that duct tape, cloth tape material. The doors, yeah, there's a bit of tape there. I think they're the original panels. Windows go up and down. You got your revision mirrors there. It's really cool because when you put the windscreen down, you can actually, this thing here, this is the windscreen wipers, and this tube is, you know, to shoot out for the water, and you can actually, you move that into the other slot so that you can fold it back down, and then you can move it into that slot when you've got the windscreen forward, because, you know, otherwise this would just get stretched. So it's the thing I love about it is because they're so customizable. You can just take something off. If you don't want your door, you just undo a couple Phillips head screwdriver, boom, take your door off, you know, take the last bit of support off, you know. They're it's cool like that. There's something about the old cars, you know, not having any or very little electrical components. They're quite fun to tinker with. So I need to show you guys inside the bonnet. Oh, the fuel tank's there, by the way. The access to the fuel tank, that's got a lock there, and the spare tyres on the back. It sits nicely there. There's a tow bar. There's a you know, for plugging your trailer lights in, 7-pin. The exhaust, mud guards. That's the only thing you have to be careful of when accessing the back toolbox. That exhaust is very close to your knee, so got to be careful. I bumped myself on there once or twice, so that's just a safety thing to be aware of. Number plates just under there. Let's pop we'll do the bonnet, then we'll come back and I'll show you inside. A quick look at the toolboxes. Oh, and down there, beside my backpack, this has been very handy again for preventing theft. You know, just a wheel lock, but you just stick that on there, and that deters, or it should deter most people. Okay, there is also a switch here for the cooling fan. So I was told by my mechanic the reason they're put in is if you're going really hardcore off-road, going through water, you can turn your fan off to prevent water from being sucked in or pushed through. When it's on, it'll turn on when I turn the ignition on and the car on. If it's off, you can drive with the fan off. So if you're in that situation of four-wheel driving through heavy water, I guess that's where that would come in handy. But otherwise, you should always leave that on the on position. You don't want to overheat your engine. So to pop the bonnet, you just have to come round into the passenger side, and under here is the little handle. So you just pull that and you can open your bonnet. Now, thing to note here, when your windscreen's down, you have to secure it down, otherwise that'll just fly back up. I've added some pads there just to protect the bonnet from any friction, and I've got two pieces of string. They're tied securely and then they're wrapped around. That's why it looks a little bit untidy at the moment, but they're holding this windscreen to the bonnet. Now when you're opening the bonnet, you can't open it all the way back because it's connected like this. You can open it all the way back once you've disconnected your windscreen and folded it back. So I can't open it all the way up right now, but I can get it open enough, obviously, to show you. So you can open it about halfway. So here's inside. Got the air filter over there. There's the engine. Electronic fuel injection. There's the battery. Century high performance. I've been told that's like less than around 6 months old. There's the fan. Now you'll see it was rubbing there. This was rubbing against the bonnet when I bought it. It was like that, and there was a spacer down in here pushing it forward. So I don't know why that was there, but I removed that and that solved the problem. So that's not rubbing against the bonnet anymore. There's your windscreen fluid, your car jack to, if you need to change a tyre. This is where your coolant goes. Now, I don't know what's going on there, but the coolant, I fill it up and it seems to spit it out of this container. The level is pretty good. It's at the right level inside the radiator, but it seems to, there's only a very little bit in that reservoir. I don't know why it does that. Not sure if it's the fan or something to do with the fan, but because my mechanic, when he did the service, he said the fan that was put in there is like an aftermarket one. Supposedly, he reckons it's not as good as the factory ones, which is, but whether or not that's the reason why that coolant is emptying fairly quickly, but I top it up just to make sure. So that's under the hood. Very, very clean. Okay. Toolboxes. Alright, now this frame here, this is what you put up when you're using the canopy. Now the toolbox, you just take the key there, pop it in, and away you go. And this is the thing I was talking about, the hinge that just opens up for you, which is great. So I've got just some spare fuel toolbox, and it's just where I keep my little camping chair. These are, I wanted something that was big enough so I could, make good use of the space back here, and these have turned out pretty well. It's only a little bit of dead space on the side. So that's in the back toolbox. Now I thought about putting these the other way, so flipping them 90 degrees and facing them both facing forward, but that prevented the seats from going back further. So that's why I went with this, positioning it like this. Okay, now if we come around to the front toolbox, just open that like so. This is where I just keep, there's a windproof rain jacket there. I've got my helmet and my goggles. So that all fits in there nicely, and that's easily accessible from the front. So that's the toolboxes. Oh, now where the bolts were. Well, for the front one, as you can see, there's bolt there, and then there. So there's 4 bolts holding the front one in, and those bolts are in the same spots, like I mentioned before, where the seats go when you install the seats. If you want to install the rear passenger seats, and the bolts in the back one. Didn't take these out. They are just there. So there's just 2 at the back. So they're in there, and I've added just washers underneath them. So that's the toolboxes. Wear and tear, rust. So there is a bit, but it's just surface rust. So in the points where it connects like to the frame up here, there's a little bit of surface rust. But I haven't found any significant, I've only seen surface rust. So what I was told when I bought it is it hadn't been around, well, it evidently hadn't been around beaches because it's not all rutted out. It's still got it's got the cover here, the original cover, which I did lift up when I was installing these, and it looks pretty good under there. So I was told that it's hard to find these in good condition because a lot of them are used around beaches, and so around the salt, but this one's, yeah, it's good. So I think I've mentioned everything. Oh, the little light on top, don't think that turns on. Clutch, brake, pedal, there's a floor mat there, and there's your going forward drive, there's your gear stick. Oh, and that's the radio that stereo that the guy put in. It's a Sony ventilation. That's I think that's yeah, that's a clock. And then this is a compartment where there would have been like a thing to close it with, but that's not there, so I just tuck my stuff in there and it doesn't fly out because it's protected. Then a little spot down there. Those things that hold the door, they fold in like that. I think that is pretty much everything, guys. So there it is. So there it is, guys, the Suzuki Sierra SJ70. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.